Hello and welcome to another episode of Talksicology, sponsored by Recovery Unplugged. Here at Talksicology, we talk all things addiction, recovery, and mental health. Tonight's guest, recovery advocate and blogger, Michael Ferrer. I'm your co-host, Jason Cabello, and as always, your host and mine, Joseph Gerardo. So, Joseph Gerardo is running a little bit late, and sorry to spoil all the Hollywood magic, but that intro is pre-recorded, so cat's out of the bag on that one. So it's just me on my lonesome here, and thank the Lord I have behind the scenes Greg back there running everything. How are things behind the scenes, Greg? Behind the scenes, Greg.
Things are well. It's a little busy behind the scenes this evening. As you could see, I'm in front of the scenes for once, even only for a brief moment. And on top of that, I'm still doing all the behind the scenes stuff. So
it's almost like a bizarro reverse Wizard of Oz, where it's like this big, huge show, and then you see, and there's this little tiny guy behind it. We have kind of a little show, and then you do the big reveal, and the world gets to know what an absolute hunk you are now.
Oh, well, thank you, Jason. I very much
appreciate that. Anytime. Easy on the eyes. Maybe if anybody wants to comment, maybe Greg needs some more screen time. I think definitely so.
I much prefer it behind the scenes. So it's quite all right.
Yeah, so Greg is running social media. So if you are trying to chat via social media and it is not going as fast as you would like, please give the guy a break. He's doing it all now. He's co-hosting for the moment. Joseph is on his way slowly. Not slowly, I shouldn't say that. So Joseph is working, trying to save lives. He is out there doing his 9 to 5, which is not a 9 to 5. It's kind of, he's always on the clock. He's out there trying to get people in, trying to save lives, trying to get people into treatment. So we'd absolutely forgive him, give him all the leeway he needs. We'll be here chatting away. When he gets there, we will put him on. Not to fear, Joseph will be here this week. Eventually. So if you guys have any questions for behind the scenes Greg or myself, please put it in the chat and we will address them while we are waiting for our fearless leader. In the meantime, Greg, why don't we tell us a little bit about yourself, man? I know you're kind of a private guy, but no better way to break that than put you on a podcast and have you talk about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Greg. I'm the content manager here at Recovery Unplugged. I'm an East Coast transplant, much like the rest of Austin, Texas. Nowadays, there's no locals left. Greg, did you bleach your hair? No, I did not. I have a ring light. The cat's out of the bag, and it's on the warm light setting, and I think it's just given a little extra added effect, but no, hair is not.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah, I've worked here for a number of years now. I think it'll be 5 years in July. I've done all sorts of things. I started just like everybody as a behavioral health technician. And as new opportunities arose, I always asked to, throw my name in the hat. And now I'm behind the scenes, Greg. So
look at us, two former techs. Doing the podcast now. So Recovery Unplugged techs, man, keep careful or they're going to stick you on a podcast one day.
Yeah. Keep on trucking. Trucking.
So let's do a little get to know you, Greg. I think it'd be fun. We have a couple of people in the chat now. Let's play. What is it? Lie, truth. Two truths and a lie. What is that called?
Yeah, 2 truths and a lie is
two truths and a lie.
Is how I've commonly heard it been said.
So let's hear from you. I'll do one too. I'll play along and see if people can guess what the lie is. If you want to start, Greg, let's go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So mine are going to be, let's see here. I flew to Hong Kong unattended I wasn't flying the plane, but I flew to Hong Kong unattended at 12 years old. I met Steven Spielberg in line for a chairlift in Vail. and I'm family friends with the Jonas Brothers. So y'all let me know which one is the lie.
Okay, and I will give you 3 as well. I hate music festivals. Uh, Me and my girlfriend were born on the exact same day, and I was a drug dealer to the stars.
I'm not sure. I think I know which one is yours. Hey, Susan, shout out to all the techs out there. Love that.
Susan, big
Yeah,
shout out to
I'm from
Tex.
Jersey. I'm from Jersey as well. Love it.
So
Oh, there's our host.
Susan says your lie is that you're friends with the Jonas Brothers.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give it another moment before anything else rolls in.
Yeah.
Okay, Maggie. So we got lie is the Jonas Brothers, and we have Greg. One is the lie. I don't remember what order I put them in.
So Sylvia says that the lies are that you flew yourself to that you yourself piloted an airplane at 3 years old to Hong Kong, and that I hate music festivals.
All right. Time for the big reveal, or what?
Sure. Let's have you go first.
I have no affiliation to the Jonas Brothers whatsoever. The other 2 were indeed true. So.
Okay. So I indeed hate music festivals.
Why do you hate music festivals?
I don't know. I always, I grew up going to concerts. My parents were in the music business, so I was always like backstage and got to experience that. And then when I started getting into music on my own, I was going to like punk shows. So it was like small dive bars. Love that stuff. I just don't enjoy going to music festivals and having to sit through like tons of bands to see the one band I like at the end. Just not a fan.
Okay.
Not a fan. And I have sold drugs to the likes of U2.
Can you say that?
Yeah, I mean, if I know that they're pretty litigious, so if they come after me, I was the guy who brought you weed to South Beach Studios in Miami. So my mom was the manager at the time and actually called me and was like, Jason, I was like 19 years old. She's like, Jason, you have to get me some weed. Like, I'll never ask you this again. And she never did, but yeah, I got to bring that. And me and the other one, me and my girlfriend, definitely not born on the same day. There's quite some years apart between us. Uh-oh, my mom just said Jason. Sorry, Mom. I don't know if that's going to get you in trouble, but she doesn't work for the studio anymore. So,
Well, Jason, it appears someone new has just entered the virtual studio here.
Is it Bono? You're going to yell at me for outing him?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you're ready there. All right, Jason, you can proceed with an intro now if you'd like.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, my host and yours, Mr. Joseph Gordo. Up, wrong way, Joseph. There he is. Wow.
Yeah. How you doing?
How are you doing?
I am in South Texas right now, which is the reason for my tardiness. And
excused. It's excused.
Thank you. But I love South Texas. It's a story for another day, but I'm from down here. So it's kind of like going back to your roots a little bit.
Yeah, cool.
You ever been to the border?
Yeah, I have. Me and my family would drive from Houston to Saltillo to visit my family, and we would go through, and then Piedras Negras, is that?
Yeah, Piedras Negras.
Yeah.
That's across the river from Eagle Pass.
Yep, exactly. That's the only part of the border that I have been to.
Yeah, well, the border is very other. It's not Texas. It's not the U.S. It's not Mexico. It's
a world in of its own. Yeah,
it is. It is, and it's got a certain vibe you don't find anywhere else.
Yeah, my cinematographer eye always wants to go back there, and like I love like rural, dusty like motels, and it
Yes.
just seems like that's how I remember it. Like I would love to go down there and be able
If
to
you would like to find houses that have Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, they're in South
that's where
Texas.
you go.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'd be scared that I might find the actual real deal there though.
Probably.
Yeah, that's probably more likely there.
So what did I
But
miss?
Greg and I were just jibber jabbering, wasting some time till you got back. We were nervous. We were probably just, hey, behind the scenes, Greg made his first appearance, and it looks like the board is lighting up. He has a lot of fans.
I caught a little bit of the live stream on LinkedIn as I was coming up the elevator to my hotel room, and I thought it was doing pretty good.
Cool. Well, I mean, we only had to do it for a couple minutes, so any longer than that, it would have been dead air, tumbleweeds, you name it. It would have went wrong. So we're glad you're back.
I knew as soon as you said you hated music festivals, I was like, yeah, Jason definitely hates music festivals.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't enjoy going to see live music. So, there's a huge difference. Like, and you know what, to be fair, like I'm not a fan of hot weather. I love it when it's cold. Like I think it's like 30 degrees outside here in Austin right now, and I love it. I could go
That's
for a
your
year
jam?
of this weather. So I mean, if I went to a music festival where it was like 60 degrees during the day and cooler at night, I would probably have a better experience. But most of my experiences were in South Florida in the summer, Lollapalooza, having to sit through a bunch of crap bands to see like the Beastie Boys at the end. But no, you know what? I'm going to take that back because I saw a lot of great bands out there. Yeah, I got to see like Guided by Voices, Polvo, bands that were not coming to South Florida at that time. Playing the second stage was the only time that I would get to see them. So
yeah,
I'm going to stop over explaining that because, And
well, now I'm starting to feel like we've made our guests wait a very, very long time.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. Sober Press is Michael's blog. I met Michael through a mutual friend, and this is like the recovery part that's the opposite end of the spectrum. Right? Like when somebody knows that you're in recovery and they're like, "Oh, my friend needs help. Here's this guy's number," and he'll call you, and then you try to help somebody.
Yeah.
A mutual friend of ours named Brett Stiles was like, "Oh man, my friend Michael, he's in recovery too, and he has this great blog that he does. You guys should definitely meet." So I texted him that night, and we started talking, and then I thought he would be a perfect guest for the podcast. So let's bring Michael on, everybody. Michael Ferrer.
Nice.
Mike.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm calling you Mike.
Yeah, call me Mike. I was about to ask you, do you like Joe or Joseph?
I'm Joseph.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Where are you from, Mike?
Well, I'm from a lot of different places. My last stop was Portland, Oregon, but originally from New Orleans.
Oh, no, you're not. New Orleans is my favorite city in the United States.
Is that right?
Yeah, hands down.
Right on.
It's probably not your favorite city, I'm sure.
It's a tough place to live, but
visiting it is great. Yeah,
very good food.
Yes, food's amazing. See, as a sober guy, right? Like that's what I do as a tourist, right?
Yeah. So if you go there, to drink and party, well, you're actually doing the exact wrong thing.
Yeah.
You have to go there to eat, experience the vibe, the history. There's so much to New Orleans than going to Pat O'Brien's and getting shit faced on a hurricane.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I went a couple years ago, and we got to go see like the second line practice and like this tiny little like shack. And we went on a tour, and the tour guide was like, "Here's some drinks, here's some weed," and I'm just like, no, I'm in recovery. And she was like, "That's amazing. Like, do your thing. Like, have some fun here. Like, you're going to remember this more than anybody else." And it was a great time.
Yeah. Awesome. And actually, the best time to go is like when no one else is there. Don't go during Mardi Gras. That's bullshit. Don't go
Yeah.
there. It's better. It's better like to go like in the fall, or go for Halloween.
That's a good idea for
Get
Halloween.
some Halloween tours in, some ghost tours. There's so much really great stuff there. Jazz Fest is fine if you like music, but Jason, that's not your bag. So
Yeah.
Music
Glorious
is my
Sabbath.
bag. Festivals are not.
Well, so
No, man, New Orleans. I think about New
that's why
Orleans. I think about those brass bands. I think
Oh,
about
yeah.
getting a muffaletta and sitting somewhere and just
Oh,
watching
yeah.
people.
People watching it's incredible.
It's the only place in the U.S. that like I feel is like truly unique. You know what I mean? Because like L.A., New York, Florida, they all got McDonald's. They all got the Gap. They all got that stuff. But like New Orleans,
Get your
especially
khakis anywhere.
yeah, you can get khakis anywhere. New Orleans feels like it's anyway. Welcome to the New Orleans podcast.
Brought to you by the New Orleans Travel JCs.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if we get a sponsorship from New Orleans. That'd be cool.
Just the city of New Orleans sponsors Recovery Unplugged.
There you go.
So Mike, tell us a little bit about the Sober Press.
So Sober Press was born out of COVID. Honestly, it was this weird juncture I was early in sobriety. I was maybe 6, maybe 9 months, I don't know, into my own sobriety. And, COVID hit, and suddenly we're like having to isolate the very thing that, would drive anybody back to drinking, back to, using. And, I'm still trying to figure things out, my coping skills, all that stuff. Meetings went away, smiles went away because you had to wear the fucking mask. And it's not that I have disdain for the mask. It's just, it's like life as we knew it was like different now. And so it was really my way to kind of find my way through the dark. And I started just doing these, just little stupid memes, design studies. I'm a graphic designer, and I just had a lot of fun just kind of passing the time, just bullshitting around and putting, little type treatments together, something that I think would inspire others. And that was kind of my vibe. That was really sort of the order of business. And then I had the idea of like, why not do a website where we feature people and stories, and that just kind of spread into, starting an Instagram. And, first, because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And so in August, I believe it was August of 2020, I started an Instagram, Sober Press. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just posting really, stuff that inspired me, some quotes, stuff that I made up, whatever. And before I knew it, and I had plans on making a website already secured, soberpress.org. And, from there, it just grew.
Let me stop you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jason. Jason was going to stop you before I was going to stop you. So.
Oh, no, I was going to say, just like recovery, it's like fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? You just start doing the work, putting the work in, and then the results are going to happen, right? And then
that's really what it was. It was a distraction from going back to the bottle. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. So it was one of those things that it was a proactive sort of route for me. And, Zoom meetings were just beginning to emerge, and there was this amazing community within Instagram that just all of a sudden, just unveiled itself to me. And it was like amazing. There's so many great people out there, and it was so inspiring. And before you knew it, I had inquiries about, putting stories out there. And I had already started like putting the idea out there that, I wanted to start, collecting stories and putting them out there on the website. And really the whole idea behind that was just to let people know that recovery is possible and that they're not alone,
Well, I got to tell you though, I hopped on soberpress.org last night, just kind of like, let me do some research and see what, and I immediately was struck by the good design of your, I think on the page it says wallpapers, right? All those little graphics
itself would stand out.
And I like good design, and that makes sense. You're a designer, right? But so I got to tell you, so there's a lot of people that share inspirational recovery stuff on social media, but A, your stuff looks real good. But B, as I was reading through it, there was a lot of wisdom held in those little, shareable things that isn't your everyday recovery lingo stuff. And so did you
mental health?
Yeah. And so did you it seems to me like you made a bunch of those little things up, the little sayings and the content. Was I wrong in assuming that?
No, I mean, some of it. Yeah. I just find quotes that I love. I try to credit them. Sometimes I put a big fat unknown in there because I can't take credit for all the shit, honestly, and that would be wrong if I did. But at the end of the day, if there's some stupid little thing that I put out there that might inspire somebody and help them turn a corner, that's it. That's the bottom line. That's what I'm after. I'm not here to make money. My job is graphic design. I'm a freelancer. That's how I make my money. That's how I pay the bills. For me, it costs me money to actually run a website. But that's totally fine, and that's what I'm after. I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here to make money. It's for me as much as it is for everybody else to enjoy and be inspired by.
So have you had the experience of people reaching out to you to tell you like, yeah, hey, this post, I made it my wallpaper on my phone and and it's helping. Have you gotten that feedback from people?
No, No,
are you serious?
Well, on Instagram, people comment, if there's something that resonates, people will definitely respond and leave a comment for that. Yeah. A life-changing thing. No,
well, maybe I set that up wrong, right? Because it doesn't have to. It's not like, oh my God, like this thing you posted on Instagram kept me from killing myself, right? Like, I think that's one of the things that, like, when we see recovery in movies or in TV, right? Like, it's always like, snap, life-changing, but it's
a ray of light coming through the window, and your life is changed the second you decide to put down the bottle or whatever it is. And
berries with rays of light and unicorns.
Bill W. appears with angels surrounding.
Sounds like a bad trip to me.
Yeah, right.
But no, because recovery is really like, getting through small moments, right? Going from seconds to minutes to days to weeks.
Exactly. And it's a moment. It's a day, it's an hour, it's a minute. I mean, honestly, I've heard that repeated by others in the Instagram community, and there are actually a lot of people that stand out. And it's funny because there's so many cliches that just float out there, but it's wrong to say that because they're truths.
Yeah.
And if you listen, there's a lot of truth out there, and if your heart is open and you listen and you just sort of like tune out the idea that I've heard it before, it'll resonate.
Yeah.
There are some things that are easily dismissed because you're jaded, but I think part of being in recovery is like kind of just growing up again, you know?
Or for the
Yeah,
first
one
time.
one of my favorite things about recovery is like I consider myself you know, I was probably one of the most jaded people, very negative, went into meetings thinking like I know better than this guy. What does this guy know? They don't understand my story. And
Trust
then
me, I know.
the way it just kind of broke me down. And like once those little idioms and sayings started making sense to me and being like, oh, like let that shit go, let go and let God. And then like I remember the first time like with my therapist when I actually started doing some work and was like, is this what you call a breakthrough? Because like I let some shit go and I feel great now. Like I like instantly like that, you know, and on a daily basis I could do that shit. So that's
Did
you
I
know
just have a
that's a
breakthrough?
yeah, seriously.
There's still days though, you know, because I grew up in Portland back in the early 90s. That's where, you know, I cut my teeth in my career, and so now I'm dating myself, but still it's to your point, being jaded, you know, my anthem was negative creep. You know, I couldn't be touched. You know, I was to the point where, you know, I was a walking asshole. And, you know, I think a lot of it was like I was just hiding. I was hiding behind this, you know, I don't give a fuck kind of attitude. And sometimes it still comes through, you know, sometimes it still happens. And it's like, well, you have to come back down to earth, because, you know, really that's where all the people are. That's where the community is. And that's where sobriety is, you know?
Wow.
Well,
I like that.
It's funny that you guys both share that, because like I also surprise, like the things that we have in common. But like I was, you know, punk rock, FSU, destroy, mess up things just for no reason. You know, one of my favorite things to do back in the day was flick cigarette butts into people's car windows that were cracked.
That was you?
Yes, that was me.
Asshole.
But just like destructive for no reason.
Maybe
like
you're the asshole.
So hold on. So like, you know, in reality, like I was a scared little kid, and this is the way that that was like my tough guy armor. But when I got sober for real, one of my breakthroughs, Jason, with my therapist was I was looking at her, I was like, you just don't understand, like I'm an asshole. And she looks at me and she goes,
yeah,
I don't think you're an asshole. Who told you were an asshole? And I was like,
yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, a lot of that too is internal speak, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These narratives we tell ourselves
we're
about who we
like,
are.
I am my worst enemy. And when I was, you know, smoking a ton of weed and drinking, that would bring me down. And I, you know, I had such a low value of myself. You know, so much depression and anxiety revolved around my world that the only way, like, you know, I could actually cope was to smoke out all the time and drink. And when it got bad, it was literally, you know, every morning, you know, all the way through into the night, you know.
So in April, coming up this April, you are gonna have 3 years of sobriety, yeah?
That's right.
April 9th. So let's go back to like March 3 years ago. Where were you at that brought you to the point that you were ready to just say, you know, I can't do this anymore?
And yeah, you know, that's really sort of that point of surrender, you know, I think that a lot of us experience. And unfortunately, there are some that are maybe too stubborn, and I was part of that, I know. And what had to happen was, you know, failing at work and not showing up. That's when it was like the full takeover. And I was literally like not even calling in, just ghosting.
Let me pause you. What was your narrative during that? You know, since we were just talking about it, right? Like, what was your internal monologue like when you were ghosting at work? And
I hated my fucking life.
Mhm.
I hated it. There was this, you know, kind of a rut between my door and the door at work. And there was nothing in the periphery. There was nothing actually getting me out of it. And, you know, I hated it. And I was seeking a way out, but I had no way mentally to really even deal with it or begin to think about how, because I was so like under, you know, I was so numb that I needed a crash and a pause to really sort of collect myself and figure out, okay, this is what the fucking problem is. And this is, you know, and it's not like a switch, it's a process you have to go through. It starts with recognizing the fact that, yeah, life is unmanageable, you know, and yeah, that's one of the truths. I'm going to call them truths, not cliches, but yes. And, you know, I don't know if anybody follows AA. So everybody has their own road, and I respect that road. But for me, it was AA, and that was it. Just knowing and recognizing the fact that my fucking life was unmanageable.
Yeah.
So was this the first time that you had attempted to get sober, or had you tried and in and out for a while?
Before. I've done rehab before. It worked for a while, and you know, I succumbed to the exact same rut, and it got worse. Relapse is worse.
So you heard the AA message a couple times before you were ready to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's me.
I have, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? I didn't fully embrace it. I don't know. But it had to mean like friends picking me up, and you know, I had to go to the ER. I had to, you know, there were some shitty things that I had to go through in order to, you know, actually like, you know, train my thought to the fact that, you know, I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. I need to pay attention to what I'm thinking and my thoughts about myself. It's a process, but you have to, you know, you have to kind of realize first that it's an issue, and then
so was there some co-occurring things going on, depression, anxiety?
So yeah, you know, I've always dealt with anxiety and depression all my life. It was always something that I was wired for. And I guess that's what you said, the chicken or the egg, you know, what is it, you know? But honestly, it's everybody, I think, who does have an issue with addiction, a deeper part of that is mental health. And I feel like, you know, that's sort of the answer. And if, you know, we're wired a certain way, okay, granted, you know, and that's sort of that definition of the disease, but really it's more of a byproduct of really what the root cause is, and it's mental health. And I feel like there's a huge stigma about that. You know, people just aren't taking care of themselves. They get too consumed with noise. They get too consumed with everything out there that distracts them from paying attention to what their needs are, what they need at the moment, and what the healthier things are other than drugging, you know, or numbing up. And
so you just said something really.
I'm an expert.
No, but one of the things we talk about is like everybody's an expert on their own recovery, right? Like that's the beautiful thing about what we do, right? There's a billion different ways to achieve and maintain sobriety, recovery, abstinence, whatever you want to call it. But you just said but there's some truths that carry along, and you mentioned something just now about like anything to distract yourself, right? From what you're feeling, whether it's alcohol and drugs or anything else. And I spoke to an interventionist friend of mine earlier today, and he said, "Oh, it's going to be slow the next couple months." And I was like, "How do you know it's going to be slow?" And he was like, "Well, because of Russia." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, as an interventionist, I need families to face some truth about their situation and that they need outside help to help their loved one." And he goes, "When there's big geopolitical news, they focus on that. The reality in their own home gets drowned out by the stock market and geopolitical strife." And so it's not just us, right? It's not just alcoholics and addicts who have this tune out mechanism. And you bringing that up, like, that's the root of so much, right? Is how do we distract from what's really happening?
It's coping skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, I feel like that is sort of, for me, it was the power of rehab to be able to learn, or even, sort of get the idea of what they are, what these mechanisms are that are healthy versus, using. And I still put them into play. And, when I say this, it became fast sort of a natural sort of reaction to COVID. I took what I was passionate about and I used it as a distraction in order for me to do something positive. And the positive that came out of it was exponential. And I owe it really to the community out there, the people in Instagram, the people that contributed their stories. It just reinforced really all the aspects of my sobriety and being able to cope and being able to, maintain at a time when, we should have been hitting the bottle even more. And trust me, I probably would have. And, I do have a sponsor that I check in with daily. I have other support outside that, I'm in contact with. So, it's not like any one thing. It's a fucking octopus. They're tentacles, and you have to maintain all of that. And it's super helpful. I have not completed step work, but it's always on my mind. It's something that I always think about. I've gotten as far as step 8, but sort of the hard work is done. I'm already like on practicing 12 practically. But,
well, somebody told me once that as soon as you enter recovery or a 12-step program, you're allowed to practice any step that starts with a 1. So you could admit you're powerless, but then 10, 11, and 12, right? Like seek God, take inventory, be of service. You don't gotta finish all the other ones to get to that stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not like the big book thumper, but I do believe that if you have a route that's working, stick to it. Don't let anybody influence you. Otherwise, I feel like there are people out there, bless their hearts, that are really hardcore about AA and in the 12 steps. But it's okay. I think if you veer and you decide that it's not for you, that's fine. I feel like there's so much pressure out there anyway. Why not, make your recovery your own, make your path your own, and own that. You're probably going to be more successful than experiencing the pressure of having to fit, and that was a lot of me. Is like, how do I fit in all this shit? I never fit in. And the fuck if I want to fit in. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
So
but
it's like,
you're hitting some truths here that, like, that it takes some people to get a while to, and I feel like you got to them maybe because of the pressure cooker of the pandemic, but like, I practice the 12-step program as well, right? But have a very open-minded view about a lot of things, and I wasn't always like that. But what I've come to understand is that what we share in meetings and those types of situations that is valuable is our own experience, right?
Right.
My experience that is unique to me to share with whoever might resonate with, like we were talking about earlier. And one of the disservices I see in a lot of the hardcore rooms, right, is people repeating phrases and sayings that they picked up from their sponsor and their sponsor and their sponsor to where they end up just sharing other people's experience. And that's all well and good. But the most powerful tool you or I or Jason or anyone else who's listening has to share is their personal, raw, unfiltered truth.
Yeah, your own experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and know it, like if you're at a meeting or something and you hear somebody sharing and all they are doing is quoting and all they are doing is hearing something that they heard somebody else say, like, you can tell, and like that's fine for that person. But then when you hear somebody get raw and somebody who's really soft spoken and they're just like, they're not trying to get a laugh. They're not trying to get reactions from people. They're just like sharing from the heart. And like, you see the pain that this person went through. And then you see them like talk about what their life is now and how they've just found, like, when you see like the inner peace in somebody, like that's the kind of shit that keeps me coming back. It's not the guy screaming how I got to work the steps or die, motherfucker, this or that. You know what I mean? It's that person.
There's no aggro in this fucking
right. Yeah. And the
even though that might be true sometimes, right?
Well, yeah, of course. There's a little bit of truth to all that.
Is what it is, really.
Yeah. But I mean, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness are like the things that I've gained from working my 12-step program, which now allows me to bring it to other aspects of my life and find other things in my life that help me out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like my working in the 12 steps got me to where I am. And I'm one of those people, like, I didn't come this far to just come this far. Like, I continue to work on myself. I continue to find things.
Did you just make that up, Jason?
Absolutely not. No way. This is
it sounded like you did. I was like, that was good, Jason.
Well, you know what? Yeah, we'll go back and cut that and say, like, yeah, of course I did. I did that. That's all Jason Cabello right there. But it's like, it's like perpetual motion. There's no, like, you hear there's no graduation of this thing. Like,
the end is when you die. Yeah. This is the idea that you take to the grave, and it's like learning. You don't stand and breathe with a heartbeat and know it all. No one fuck knows it all. Now, if you have the attitude that you don't know it all and you want to learn, you're going to continue to learn. You're going to continue to get better. And that's sort of the philosophy, and that's humility.
Right.
So it's easier to be yourself when there's humility in the room. When you accept yourself for who you are, and, you're able to recognize, okay, I don't know it all, but I want to. And I probably will never know it all, but you can be the sponge and, always grow. And with that attitude, there's a certain level that you can surpass beyond I think, what your headspace is.
Yeah. And then being able to pass it on to the next person who needs help. You know what I mean? And, that's what I'm here for.
God, Mike's dropping wisdom, man.
Mike's
I'm still stuck on when there's humility in the room, you have the space to be yourself. Ooh.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's honestly, it's like you can never compare anybody. I mean, and that's the thing. I've been in rooms where you see the guys, talking about their scars and it's like, you know what? My scars are blemishes compared to yours. You know, honestly, you're, you know, and that's the wrong way to look at it. On, you know, it's you have to look at it for who you are and what you did and what you went through, because that's what's important, is you.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, when you came in the rooms, you know, I have to assume again that like that you walked into a room where there was some humility, where you had the space to be yourself, right? What did that look like? You know, like what was the room that you walked into? Like sticks out. What was the experience like?
I was really quiet at first, my first endeavor. And I think that was part of the problem. I didn't really talk. I was afraid to say anything. I was afraid of being judged, you know, and that's part of the anxiety. But then, you know, the second time around, my home group was Austin 24 Club. And if you ever go there, it's scary as shit. It's in a junkyard. And, you know, a lot of the people that went there were homeless and they actually slept there. But it was sort of a neat experience because of the dichotomy of people that actually went. You would have, you know, Joe Professional with, you know, Joe Homeless, and it was sort of a motley group, but they all like didn't give a fuck. They shared, they respected each other, and it was totally perfect for me because I fit right in, you know, somewhere in the middle, you know, and I learned a lot, you know, and I don't know if it's still open or not. But when I look for it, it seems to be closed online. Austin 24. So I don't
NA24?
found anymore.
You're talking about NA24?
Austin 24. It's off
Yeah,
Lamar.
Yeah. No, it's
next. It's across the street from Chinatown.
Yeah. It's still there. It's just a little different.
Is still there.
Yeah, it's just a little different with the panty going on, you know.
Okay.
I'll have to check it out. That sounds like my kind of people. I love the ragtag group of misfits coming together.
It really is, you know, and it was cool, you know, the people that would lead the meetings, you know, some of them, it was just a crazy group. And
you know, I had a similar experience when I had probably about 5 years sober and was going through like a dark period in my recovery. I found myself at the 10:30 p.m. Westlake meeting in Austin, Texas, and
Westlake.
And so Westlake during the day is very buttoned up professional crowd, right? But when you would go to the 10:30 meeting, there's a motley bunch of people who are willing to go to a meeting at 10:30 on a Monday night. And one thing I always loved about that group was that the sharing was not ego-based sharing. Nobody was trying to out big book the next guy. You know, One guy might share real big book. One guy might share about, you know, how his wife pissed him off that day. Someone else might share about crystals and that being a part of their spiritual journey. And it was all good. It was all good.
And I like a mix. I like a mixed bag of stories. It's interesting. People are fucking cool, and they all have a certain way to say things, and they should be celebrated for that, you know.
I think
one of the stories that I have. Go ahead.
No, Mike, go.
Yeah, Mike, please go. Yeah, we hear each other all the time. We're like an old married couple.
Mike was about to tell a story, and I want to hear it.
Well, no, I was just gonna say real quick. Some of the stories on my website is, you know, it's crazy, like just the spectrum of people. And I'll just say that. I mean, the last person that I posted was from India, and he was very short. He was very direct, which was fine. I've had others that were just, I mean, right a huge dissertation, and but I just love like how people will share, and I think all of it is great. If you ever want to share your story, I would love to hear it. That's all I got to say.
Love it. All right, Jason, what were you going to say?
No, well, no, it's kind of a moot point now, but I was just going to say, like, expanding your echo chamber. You know what I mean? You don't want to just hang out with the same 3 guys you got sober with and like just hear their stories all day. It's like you want to hear from people from all corners of the globe who have been through all different kind of shit that you can't even imagine. And that's, but then when you break it down and you realize that you all had that same feeling right before you reached out for help.
Yeah,
that common thread is actually a lot more prevalent than you would imagine. And it doesn't matter where you're from, how you got recovered, or how you got sick. Really, there's a common thread between us all. And I think a lot of that is what really makes a tight bond between the community. And it's the fact that we got out of this rut. We found our way out. No matter how we did it. And now it's like we need to, kind of help each other out and maintain.
So, Mike, I want to acknowledge the fact that you got sober during the pandemic. Yeah. In the early days of the pandemic, I remember being shocked, like at the thought that there was people who were in treatment at that moment who were never going to experience an in-person meeting, or at least, we're trying to get 30 days without in-person meetings. Like, it blew my mind. And I know you had a little time before it all happened, but and Jason too, I believe, I had plenty of friends who, with time, and not that time matters, but, people that I didn't worry about, with
time actually does matter.
12 years, I had friends relapse. I had friends overdose and die. And I believe in part,
relapse is a lot harder when you do have more time under your belt.
Yeah. Getting out of that ego again and letting go of that, right?
Yeah.
But I just admire the hell out of the fact that you were in early recovery through the pandemic. And I think that there's still people today who are entering a world where our old norms of recovery and in-person meetings and all that stuff still isn't quite back. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and wisdom on, what got you, why you were able to when a bunch of other people weren't. You mentioned some community in the Instagram, obviously, but anything else that you think would be good for folks who are experiencing pandemic recovery right now?
Well, I have a counselor. I see. That's a huge, huge thing. And, life happens in every which way, even, when you're not looking for it, things happen, and you got to be able to arm yourself with positive, really good, healthy ways to deal with it. I love creating, a lot of times, I'll just meme it out, and I hate calling them memes, but I call them, studies, but, it's like, whatever you want, if there's something that you're passionate about, immerse yourself in that. That's healthy. Something that gives you, like, I feel like gratuity, something that makes you feel grateful, a sense of accomplishment,
Is there something spiritual for you in the act of creating all this stuff?
I mean, I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not, religious, but, I think on a spiritual level, it helps me to know that if this one little thing that I threw out there maybe made a difference, turn the light on for just a moment for somebody, or made them smile, or made them think, or resonated somehow.
or even just brighten somebody's day just for that 1 second when they're scrolling and they're,
And I don't always post inspiring or positive. Sometimes, I let my emotions loose, and that comes out too. And back in September, my dog died suddenly, and I kind of went, not dark per se, but you could see that things changed a little bit in terms of the vibe and all that. So I try to feel what I post. So and the people that I follow, there's some people out there that just put it out there for what it is, and I love it. I think that's so great that they're honest and they're brave, because it's like talking. If you get it off your chest, it's off your chest. It's it helps. It's a huge help, and knowing that if I throw something out there, even though it's a little bit wrong or dark or whatever, maybe it will also allow people to see that also I'm human too. I'm not like trying,
Yeah.
I don't know, shit. It's
no,
hard.
you gotta be real about it, right? It's not all unicorns and rainbows.
It's not. Yeah, it's not.
It's very rarely unicorns and rainbows, actually.
I have not. Coming up on 6 years, and I've never seen one rainbow. Well, I've seen one rainbow, but not one unicorn.
But have you seen a double rainbow?
Not in person.
No. Just that one guy in that one video.
Yeah, just the Hawaiian guy, and
I think
that makes me happy.
He was,
seeing his joy out of it makes me happy enough. But if I ever saw one myself, I'd probably feel the same way.
Yeah.
Now, if I saw a unicorn, I would probably have to maybe check back into treatment or do something. But who knows?
Yeah, it's kind of.
But
weird.
being that Recovery Unplugged is, Recovery Unplugged uses the power of music to get to the underlying causes of addiction.
Do
you
music.
have so what music inspires you, or is your like recovery go-to?
Music is almost always on, and I have a tendency to go more the route of shoegaze. There sometimes I want to air it out and I play something hard, but there are days that I just want something that I can just sort of dismiss, and it's almost like noise canceling. But
shoegaze music started in the Northeast, didn't it? Like Portland, Seattle.
Well, more I think the UK, if depends, but like My Bloody Valentine stuff.
Yeah, I think about that My Bloody Valentine Seether album.
Yeah, yeah, all that. It's so good.
So music gives you kind of like a vibe. You like the vibey noise, kind of lose yourself sound a little bit. Yeah.
Well, there's a time, sometimes techno is okay, but like for instance, I love Luna is one of my favorite bands. Galaxy 500, even before, there were Luna.
Man, we got to hang out, listen to coffee, drink some coffee and listen to some records sometime.
Did y'all see that Sigur Rós announced a North American tour today?
I didn't.
Sigur Rós, are you familiar, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
No, I don't know.
Oh, if shoegazer bands came from Scandinavia and had their own made-up language that they sang in, I think is good. And Jason, I'm kind of proud of this. I saw this. The only city that they're playing 2 dates in. Guess. Austin, Texas. Yes, sir.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So we're getting towards kind of the end of the show. I'm going to ask you one more music-related question, Mike. If you had to pick one song to be your recovery theme song or anthem, what would it be?
Oh man. It's got to be Wilco. Something Wilco.
This guy's you're my new best friend, Mike. We gotta hang out. This is it. This is I think Greg. I mean, Brett did something when he put us together. I'll have to buy him a coffee. Thank you, Brett.
I can't name anything.
Well, give us an album. Let's narrow it down to a Wilco album.
Wow. I'm struggling coming up with something. I have to look. But you know, I love Wilco.
Jeff Tweedy is a big recovery guy.
There is a song that has that does come to mind, and gosh, I can't remember the name, but he sounds a lot like Bob Dylan when he sings it, and it's not Summer Teeth, Sky Blue Sky.
Oh, that's a good one.
So
yeah.
Now, if you were to, I've had that actually. One of my first podcast interviews was a gentleman out of Johannesburg, and he asked me the same thing. He was like, well, so if you could pick one song for your theme, what would it be? And I was like, oh, why just one, man?
Yeah,
why you gotta be a drag, you know? So I picked Sky Blue Sky. So I think I'm
gonna listen to that after the show.
Excellent choice.
I think that's the one.
Well, Mike, we really appreciate your time here, man. This has been a great conversation. I love it because it just feels like a couple of us just hanging out, shooting the shit. If you want to give yourself a little bit of plug to anything you got going on, please do so.
Well, I'm looking for stories always. Just hit the website. Go to a little bit about submit your story, and it's super easy. It's just a stupid questionnaire. You don't even have to ask questions. Just type it all out. I love to hear stories from people, and I feel like the more stories I can put out there, it's sort of a good way to let people know that it's possible to recover and that they're not alone. That's the whole basis of the website.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much.
Luckily, people in recovery don't mind talking about themselves. So I'm sure you'll always continue to collect these fantastic stories.
There's some good ones in there. All of them are good in their own right, I'll say. So
yeah. Beautiful. Well, again, as Jason was saying, thank you so much. Brett's here.
Brett's the one that brought this all together. Thank you, Brett.
Well, thank you, Brett.
Hope you're feeling better. He just got some knee surgery done, so hopefully we'll see you back at the skate park soon, bud. So Joseph, as we always like to end this out. So how many ways in are there again?
Recovery, man. There's 1,000 ways in. There's 1,000 ways out, and we hope you find yours. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, guys. Y'all be good out there.